Hi everyone, Charles from The Food People here. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Back today for this special episode looking at the role of cuisine in the COVID era. Over the last 15 years, we've spoken extensively about trending cuisines, from old favourites that still maintain momentum today, Americano, Japanese, Tex-Mex, Indian, Chinese, Italian, and many more besides, to emergent cuisines that are fast growing in adoption. And recently, those have included the likes of Malaysian, Filipino, Korean, Sri Lankan, Scandinavian, even, and Singaporean. Of course, the conversation around trending cuisines has shifted and changed during the current health crisis and pandemic. At the beginning of lockdown, in particular, as restaurants shuttered and panic ensued, many people shopped for food with necessity and cost rather than cravings in mind. And with their favourite restaurant options off the table, people couldn't rely on those favourite noodles, curries, kebabs, or takeaway options. They had to cook all meals at home. At first, 24/7 home cooking and a glut of panic purchases meant lots of dry pasta cooking and convenient staples. But as time went on, home cooks got creative in an effort to recreate their global favourite dishes. So it seems that global cuisines are still a firm favourite on meal tables, particularly when trusty old favourites like Italian and Chinese and Indian are concerned. And although the pause button may have been hit on the growth of some of those emerging cuisines, enterprising chefs have been working hard to keep them in conversation, and their efforts seem to be paying off. Recent data from the Future Food Panel, which is a collaboration between ourselves, the Food People, and Good Sense Research, shows that consumers' appetite for global flavours and formats endure. The research demonstrates that whilst familiar cuisines such as British, Italian, Indian, and Chinese are still the most tried, this is where we've sought comfort over the last few months. Interest is climbing in emerging cuisines where consumers are once again seeking discovery and exploration in food, specifically Middle Eastern, Korean, West African, modern Chinese, and modern Indian, all climbing April to June with regard to participation. As we come out of lockdown, it's undoubtedly going to take some time for the out-of-home sector to recover. So home cooking and deliveries will continue to be a much bigger part of our food universe. In this episode, we take a look at 6 to 10 of the top 10 cuisines that consumers have turned to on both fronts during lockdown. So at 6, then we have Middle Eastern. Middle Eastern cuisine, in all its flavourful, diverse, vibrant and fresh glory, has been propelled by its unique larder, bias towards plant-based eating, and its unwavering champions of chefs and writers alike. Middle Eastern has become a key pillar of the mainstream food conversation. So some of our observations during lockdown, well, with so much time spent outdoors and some great weather, barbecue and grill dishes proved popular. Think chicken shish, lamb kofta, those types of things. So too did family formats, meze-style sharing dishes, with interest in both health and plant-based dishes at an all-time high. Middle Eastern food provides a perfect solution for simple, healthy, flavorful, plant-based dishes, things like falafel, roasted aubergine, hummus, baba ganoush, fettuccine salads are just some of the things that we've observed as part of the Middle Eastern repertoire. There's also no forgetting the nation's love of kebabs. Inventive home cooks were quick to try and recreate the much-loved kebab shop takeaway, creating fake-away versions at home from scratch. So some of the growth potential and thought starters for the future, well, the exploration and breadth of chili spices, for example, Ufa, Pul Biber, also Aleppo pepper, spices and rubs with blends like Rezel Hanout, Baharat, Za'atar being used as seasonings, marinades and barbecue rubs. Also discovering breakfast beyond shakshuka, things like breakfast meze, manouche bread, labneh, but also sweet applications of Middle Eastern ingredients such as tahini and things like brownies, trifles, buttercream, cookies and cakes. And at 7, we have Southeast Asian. Southeast Asian cuisine incorporates the foods of countries including Indonesia, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Thai Vietnamese dishes like pho, summer rolls, green curry, and pad thai were already a mainstay on UK high streets, but now we see other Southeast Asian cuisines entering the mainstream lexicon. So some of the things that we have observed during lockdown, well, Thai and Vietnamese were popular takeaway options anyway. But home cooks also had a go themselves, sourcing their own ingredients, or often with the help of kits and ready-made sauces. Cooks and restaurants took to Instagram for cook-alongs to give that helping hand. Popular Rose's Thai Cafe gave away the recipe for their popular spicy drunken spaghetti. Pre-pandemic, there was also a lot of buzz around Malaysian and Singaporean cuisine, in particular koh Phi favourites like kaya toast, so toasted sandwich with butter and delicious coconut jam. And the cooks behind these kept the momentum going. Likewise, Filipino chefs worked hard to promote the already growing popularity of their cuisine. So some of the growth potential and thought starters for the future: the koh Phi dining, the snacking potential around kaya toast, beverages like Milo, pulled coffee, milk tea, iced tea and flavoured iced tea, noodles and stir-fry dishes for all-day eating, including breakfast, retail paste and marinades beyond green and red Thai curry, think kaya, sambal, namprik pao, rika rika, and also exploring the sweet profile of desserts and snacks using ingredients such as lychee, pandan, tapioca, coconut milk, and palm sugar. And then at 8, we've got Mexican. Mexican cuisine is hugely influential in both the UK and US, particularly in grab-and-go formats in the retail and fast casual sphere, things like tacos, burritos, quesadillas. These historically had a Tex-Mex lean and often associated with cheese-laden interpretation. However, in recent years, we've seen an appetite for authentic regional Mexican cuisine grow in both ingredients and dishes. Some of the behaviours that we observed during lockdown: we've needed a bit of vibrancy, fun and colour in recent months, and Mexican cuisine has very much provided these. Indeed, things like Taco Tuesdays or Cinco de Mayo provided perfect party opportunities. Consumers went wild for tacos and margaritas in particular, and restaurants were quick to supply DIY kits for those. Also popular were churros, elote, and also burritos. Tray bake and slow cooker recipes were also the rage during lockdown, a perfect fodder for Mexican stews, braises, and chilies. A few of the growth potential and thought starter opportunities for the future: well, spice rubs made with ingredients like hoje santa, chipotle, epazote for slow cook, grill, and barbecue. The potential for taco and margarita kits for margarita-themed nights in. It's also about Mexican drinks beyond tequila, things like michelada, raicilla, pulque, and tepache. Semi-prepared Mexican food kits, Mexican barbecue, taco parties, also opportunity in a greater number of plant-based and vegan offerings within the Mexican cuisine sphere. And then at 9, we've got Japanese. Japan is one of the fastest growing holiday destinations globally in the last decade, and the 11th most visited country on the planet. And with Tokyo all set to host the Summer Olympics next year, Japan's influence, including its food culture, is only set to grow. So what did we observe during lockdown? We've been all about the carb comforts in recent months, so it's no surprise that katsu curry and ramen have been leading the way. Comfort food is likely to remain a food crutch for most, so expect the popularity of these to continue, as well as yoshiku dishes, so that's Japanese Western style food like wafu pasta. And of course, the world can't get enough of sushi. But now there's appetite for modern riffs and twists, things like sushi bowls, and indeed even sushi bakes. A few of the growth potential and thought starter opportunity areas for the future: incorporating Japanese ingredients for a riff on favourite dishes and food formats. And that's beyond the usual suspects of things like miso and yuzu, things like koji, togarashi, Hokkaido milk, hojicha, the floral scents and fragrance of sakura, adzuki beans, and also katsuboshi. More Japanese mashups, things like sushi pizza, ramen spaghetti, Japanese loaded hot dogs, those types of things. DIY make your own sushi and sake kits for that Japanese themed nights in. And also an opportunity to debunk Japanese food and ingredients in retail. And then at 10, very much last but not least, Mediterranean. For many of us in the UK, it's not summertime without a holiday to our favourite Mediterranean destinations: France, Greece, Cyprus, or Spain. The cuisines of these countries are as varied and as exciting as they are, with something for every season and taste, from wintry cassoulets and gratins to summer Slovakia grills, sangria for happy hour. There's something for everyone at any time of the year. Some of the behaviours that we've observed during lockdown: unsurprisingly, carb-laden comfort fare was quick to go during lockdown. Things like French classics, crepes, croissants, tarte tatin, dauphinoise potatoes, gratins, and madeleine. As the weather warmed up, these gave way to grilled meats, roasted vegetables, vibrant salads of Greece and Turkey, the Slovakia, the grilled prawns, the watermelon and feta salads. And of course, let's not forget the Spanish favourites: the tapas, the paella, the sangria, and the cava, which made regular appearances on weekend menus in particular and Instagram feeds. So a few of the growth potential and thought starter opportunity areas for the future was sangria and tapas direct to consumer for a Spanish summer party at home, paella kits and also pans as well for the alternative Sunday lunch, plant-based Mediterranean kebabs and grills, a contemporization of classic French desserts, things like millefeuille, gâteau, crème brûlée, mille crêpes, the humble friand, the queen amane or the canale. And also a Greek influence at breakfast, things like Kouloulia Thessalinkis, the sesame-style bagel, the Greek version of French toast, fetaida drizzled with honey, or indeed risogalo, a Greek-style rice pudding, all potentials for breakfast influence. To wrap up, the global pandemic has temporarily grounded everyone, bringing a sharp focus to the value of food and drink and indeed the fragility of our local supply chains. So curbing the I want what I want and I want it now, which has dominated so many trends before. For the first time in generations, consumers have had to make do with what was available and local, and that has meant getting creative. And this has only acted to accelerate the era of what we have called conscious cuisine, something that we actually hailed at the start of 2019. That is to say that we're already entering an era that would be dictated by environmental concerns and mindful eating. And more than ever, we truly understand that you are what you eat. The pandemic didn't create this shift, but it did accelerate it. This era of conscious consumption will impact the global cuisines framework. Age-old techniques like fire cooking plus bread making are already being revived and coming to the fore. Both environmental and personal health are at the top of the agenda too. And thus cuisines that lend themselves well to healthy, fresh, plant-based eating are likely to thrive. It seems inevitable that global travel will remain off the cards for many for some time yet. And that means that we'll turn to exotic ingredients, flavors and dishes for that global food exploration on our plates. So that concludes Cuisines 1 to 5. So do join our TFP community for the details of our recent 12-part series and all of the latest free to access food and drink trends foresight. Visit thefoodpeople.co.uk and complete your details at the footer of the page. Stay safe and keep well, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening.